Hey everybody, this is Doug with Artfully Rogue. So, have you ever found yourself while you're working in your shop that you need a specific tool? You see, when I use my drill press, it's a bench top drill press, and so I usually move it to my welding table or my other workbench, and if I'm drilling something really long, I usually have to stack wood so that it will actually lay flat across the drill press table. So I got tired of stacking wood, so I decided I'm going to make a miniature adjustable stand with a roller on the top. So here's the adjustable roller stand that I have in my shop. I'm going to use this as my model to create the small version. Okay, we'll call this the front leg. This is going to be the adjustable part. I used a piece of 5/8 square tubing that has a 0.65 wall, and then at Ace Hardware I picked up some little plastic plugs. And then for the upright section, I used 5 inches of the same 5/8 0.65 wall. And then I also used a piece of 1/2 inch because that slides in nicely to the 5/8. To adjust, I'm going to add in a 1/4 20 nut and a 1/4 20 thumb screw. That makes the adjustable leg. For the back leg, it's going to be roughly the same. 5/8 square tubing, 0.65 wall, plastic plug, and then a 4-inch piece with a 65-degree angle cut on the 5-inch square tubing. So I'm sure you know what it looks like to drill into steel, so I just put a hole in the side of this leg, and then I'm going to weld on a nut that I can put the thumb screw into. And while the front leg cools off, we'll do the back leg. Looking at the larger model, we're going to need a way for these two legs to hinge on each other. So for that, I picked up a couple of little tabs at my metal supply place. Then I'll use a 1/4 20 bolt with a nut that'll put those together. We're going to start by drilling a hole through the back leg for the tabs. Okay, hole is drilled, tabs are attached. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the top piece and we're going to line it up and then weld those tabs on the front leg. Okay, so the heat has expanded the 5/8, so the 1/2 is going in. It's a little tight to get in there right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to set that aside, let that cool off, and we're going to work on the roller aspect of this little stand. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm going to use a piece of 1/2 inch 0.65 wall square tubing for the insert, but then I'm going to use a piece of 1.25 inch flat stock, all right, and a couple of tabs, and then some bearings that I actually picked up on Amazon. I'll leave a link to everything that I bought and a cut list at the end of the video. I also had some 1/2 inch round stock and then a piece of 1.5 inch round tubing with an 0.65 wall. And these bearings fit right in there really nicely. So the round tubing I cut to 6 inches, and I'll place these bearings right here in the end, and I'm going to put a few tacks on the bearings and the tubing. That way they don't move at all. I don't want to weld them on there, and just in the case I have to replace them at some point, I want to make it a little bit easier to take apart when it's time. Okay, so now I want to take this 1/2 inch rod that will go through these bearings. We're going to push that through. So then I'm going to take my 2 tabs. I also picked these up at my metal store, but they're just 1 inch flat steel. I've drilled a 1/2 inch hole through there, so they're going to fit right on that little 1/2 inch rod. And then I will even that out so they both have about the same amount. To make sure the 1/2-inch rod stays where I want it, I'm going to drill in some small holes and add some cotter pins. Okay, with the holes drilled, we can now use cotter pins to make sure that that axle stays where it needs to stay. Okay, so now we're going to take the roller component and we are going to weld it to the insert part. Okay, so at first I was going to go with these little inserts that would plug right into here, and that would kind of act as little anti-slip guides. But then I found some round rubber. They would go on something, you know, round, but with a little bit of effort, you can actually get them on here. I think that's going to be a better anti-slip idea. So we're going to put those on all 4 corners. Yeah, that'll work. We now have a miniature adjustable roller stand. So I had a chance to use this little guy for a little bit, and I realized there's a slight issue here. As long as I am rolling in this direction, I'm fine. But it is so far tilted back that if I move this way, it wants to drop automatically. So one of the modifications that I suggest you make, and I'm going to make, is I'm going to extend this arm here so it comes down a little bit further and sets the roller up just a touch higher. Don't forget to try that modification, because then it'll keep it from knocking it over. Other than that, it works perfect for what I need it for. All right, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it was helpful. Once I got all the pieces together, the project really only took about 30 to 45 minutes. And as I noted at the very end of the video, you might want to extend that back leg a little further out so it brings the roller a little bit more center. That way it won't tip over as you're bringing your material across the roller. That's what I'm about to go do right now. If you have any comments and you'd like to leave those down below, I'd be greatly appreciated. If you haven't subscribed, please do so now. And I'd like to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters, Barry and Marlene Rush, Funkiss Artistic Creations, and Judy Clothier. I'll see everybody in the next video. So I went from 4 inches to 5 inches on this back leg, and it works great now. Balanced so you can move your material back and forth without any problems. And I'd like to reach out to my Patreon supporters.